My gun is getting thirsty. Right then and there the decision was made. This arrogant fuck wannabe actor was going down for the count. He was tomorrow's headlines today. Hey, buddy. I'm waiting here for some coffee. You got any coffee at Starbucks? The barista didn't look up from his busy work even then. Just waved a free hand. Be with you. The storyteller, heard the door open behind him. Another sucker arrives. Hey, morning, Christopher. A woman's chirpy voice came from behind. He didn't even turn to look at her. Screw her, too. Hiya, Sarah, called the counter guy. He was suddenly all chirpy, too. Now the jackass came to the front. Now he wakes up. For Sarah. That's when he shot the dude in the chest. Right in the Starbucks apron. Forget the coffee, Christopher. Don't need it now. I'm already wired. Then he turned to see about the woman. First time he ever looked at her. Chirpy-looking blonde, maybe mid-30s, wearing a black leather jacket over black pedal pushers, black thongs, too. Hey, morning, Sarah, he said, casual-like and friendly as a cocker spaniel off its leash in the park. Wearing black for the funeral? Excuse me? And he shot her, too. Twice. Then one more for the barista. Just one more kill, right? He was thinking. Well, maybe two more. He robbed the cash register, took Sarah's ratty buckskin pocketbook, and off he went into the early morning L.A. smog, heading west, across Stanley, Spalding, Genesee. Mary Smith rides again, right?
Chapter 101. I looked at Janny in the rearview mirror. "The Spy Museum, huh?" I asked. She nodded. "Absolutely." Janny had drawn Saturday afternoon in our little lottery. Tonight was mine, Sunday day was Nana's, and Sunday night was Damon's time to howl. The Cross family weekend was all mapped out, and it was already underway. We spent the afternoon learning about ninja, cloak and dagger, and shadow spies, a construct I must have missed in my classes at Quantico. The kids tested their powers of observation in the school for spies, and even I was impressed with some of the future world props and models they had in the 21st century section. Since dinner was my choice, I decided to introduce everyone to Ethiopian food. Janny and Damon did fairly well with some of the more exotic tastes, except for the kitfo, essentially steak tartare. Still, they liked eating with their fingers, which Nana called real down-home cooking. When Janny and Nana went off to the ladies' room, Damon turned to me. "You know, you could have invited Dr. Coles, if you wanted," he said, then shrugged. I was touched by the man-to-manness of Damon's remark. I'd even say it was adorable, except that he'd hate if I saw it that way. "Thanks, Day," I said, playing it straight. "Kayla and I are having dinner on Tuesday. I appreciate the thought." "She's a good lady." "Everybody thinks so. You need somebody, you know." "Yeah, I know." "And she's the only person I've ever seen who can make Nana do stuff she doesn't want to." I laughed, liking that he had noticed so much about Kayla, and his observations were mostly sharp and true. "What's so funny?" Nana asked, suddenly at the table again. "What did I miss?" "What is it?" Janny asked, demanded, actually. "I want to know what's going on. Was it about the Spy Museum? You two mocking me? I will not be mocked." "Guy's privilege," Damon said. "I bet it was about Dr. Coles." Janny's voice turned to a squeak as her instincts landed her in exactly the right place. "We like her, Daddy," she said, when I had neither confirmed nor denied her guess. "Yeah, but you like everyone." "Guess where I got that from?" "We need to have her over for dinner," Nana piped up. "Just not Tuesday," Damon told her. Janny grinned and her eyes got wide. Yeah, Tuesday night is date night, right, Daddy? Am I right? Chapter 102. Tuesday night was a date night, with Kayla Coles. And then so was Thursday. At a little past 1 o'clock in the morning, I was sitting with Kayla on her front porch. We'd been out there talking for at least a couple of hours. Kayla had just recruited me to do some work for the Children's Defense Fund in D.C. She used statistics to make her points, just like Nana did. 40 million uninsured in America, a new baby born uninsured every minute of every day. Sure, I would help, whatever I could do, even if the circumstances hadn't been what they were. "What are you doing Saturday?" she asked. Just the question in her sweet voice made me smile. "This isn't about the Children's Defense Fund, by the way." "I was hoping you'd come over for one of Nana's home-cooked meals," I said. "Don't you need to ask Nana?" I laughed. It was her idea, or one of the kids, but Nana's definitely part of the conspiracy. She might even be the ringleader of the gang. If the universe wanted me to stop dating, its message was getting garbled. All day Saturday, I was a little nervous about Kayla coming over, though. This meant something, didn't it? Bringing her home, under these circumstances. "You look good, Daddy," Janny said from the door to my room. I had just rejected a shirt onto the bed and pulled on a black V-neck sweater, which I had to admit looked pretty good. It was a little embarrassing to be caught in the act of preening, though. Janny invited herself in, flopped down, and watched while I finished up. "What's going on?" Damon wandered in next and sat beside Janny on the bed. "Anybody ever hear of privacy around here?" "He's getting all handsome for Dr. Kayla, all duded up and such. I like him in black." My back was to them now, and they spoke as if I weren't there, their voices just a little stagey. "Think he's nervous?" "Mm-hmm, probably. You think he'll spill something on himself during dinner?" "Definitely." I turned on them with a roar and grabbed them both before they could separate and squirm away. They exploded into screams of laughter, forgetting for an instant that they had outgrown this kind of horseplay. I rolled them both around on the bed, going for all the ticklish spots I knew from past tickle fests. "You're going to get all wrinkly!" Janny yelled at me. "Daddy, stop!" "That's okay," I said. "I'll have to change anyway. When I spill something on myself!" I chased them all the way down to the kitchen. Then we pitched in to help Nana with the parts that she would let us. Adding a leaf to the dining table, putting out the good china and new candlesticks. Nana was showing off a little, maybe a lot. Fine by me. I've got no problem eating her finest. Never have. After dinner, which was pretty amazing, 2 herb-roasted chickens with oven fries, asparagus, mescalin salad, and coconut cake, Kayla and I got out of there. We took the Porsche, and I drove out to the tidal basin and then up to the Lincoln Memorial. We parked, then strolled the length of the reflecting pool. It's a beautiful, tranquil spot at night. For some reason, not too many tourists make it there after sunset. "Everything was perfect," she said as we approached the Washington Monument. "Back at your house." I laughed. A little too perfect for my taste. Didn't you think they were trying too hard? It was Kayla's turn to laugh. "What can I say? They like me." 3 dates in a week. Had to give them ideas. Kayla smiled. "Gave me some ideas. Want to hear?" "Like what? Give me an example, a for instance." "My house isn't far." "You're a doctor. Must know a lot about human anatomy." "And you're a psychologist, so you know the human psyche, right?" sounds like a lot of fun. And it was. But then the job got in the way again. Chapter 103. I'll be out there tomorrow. That's the best I can do. I'll book a flight to L.A. right now. I couldn't believe the words were coming out of my mouth, even as they did. I had been on the phone with Fred Van Allsburg for less than a couple of minutes, and my response was pretty much automatic, almost as if I'd been programmed to answer in a certain way. What was this, the Manchurian Candidate? What part was I playing? Good guy? Bad guy? Somewhere in between? I was definitely eager to meet with Mary Wagner again, drawn by curiosity almost as much as by obligation. The LAPD hadn't been able to get her to talk to them, apparently not for days. So they wanted me to come back to California to consult. And I needed to do it. Something still bothered me about the murder case, even if Mary was as guilty as she appeared to be. Of course, I wanted the trip to be as short as possible. In fact, I left everything packed except my toothbrush when I got to the hotel in L.A. It probably helped me feel as though the trip was more temporary. Anyway, my interview with Mary Wagner was scheduled for 10 o'clock the following morning. I thought about calling Jamila, but decided against it, and right then I knew that it was completely over between us. A sad thought, but a true one, and I was sure that we both knew it. Whose fault was it? I didn't know. Was it useful or important to place blame? Probably not, thought Dr. Cross. I spent the night going over the past week's reports and transcripts, which Van Allsburg had messengered over to me. According to everything I read, the three children, Brendan, Ashley, and Adam, seemed to be the only thing on Mary's mind. It made my direction pretty clear. If the children were all that Mary could think about, that's where we'd begin tomorrow morning. Chapter 104. At 8:45 in the morning, I found myself in a different but identical-looking room to the one where I had last interviewed Mary Wagner. The guard escorted her in exactly on time, almost to the second. I could see right away that several days of interrogation had taken a toll. She wouldn't look at me, and sat stoically while the officer cuffed her to the table. He then took a position inside the room next to the door. Not my first choice, but I didn't argue it. Maybe if there was a second interview, I'd try to loosen things up. "Good morning, Mary."
"Hello."
Her voice was neutral, a minimal show of following the rules. Still no eye contact, though. I wondered if she had served time before, and if she had, for what? "Let me tell you why I'm here," I said. "Mary, are you listening to me?" No response from her. She clenched and unclenched her teeth, staring at a single point on the wall. I sensed that she was listening, but trying not to show it. "You already know that there's a significant amount of evidence against you, and I think you also know that there are still some doubts about your children." She finally looked up, and her eyes burned into my skull.
"Then there's nothing to talk about."
"Actually, there is." I pulled out my pen and laid a blank piece of paper on the table. "I thought you might like to write a letter to Brendan, Ashley, and Adam." Chapter 105. Mary changed in a beat, just the way I'd seen her do before. She looked up at me again, her eyes and mouth noticeably softer. A familiar vulnerability showed across her features. When she was like this, it was hard not to feel something for Mary Wagner, no matter what she had done. "I'm not allowed to remove your handcuffs," I said. "But you can tell me what you'd like to say. I'll write it for you, word for word."
"Is this a trick?"
she asked, and she was practically pleading for it not to be.
"This is some kind of trick, isn't it?"
I had to choose my words carefully. "No trick.